Everyone says to convert your TSP to Roth after you retire, but what if you never get those low tax years everyone talks about? A lot of the advice out there assumes that after you retire, your income drops way down for a while, then you just slide in these big Roth conversions at super low tax rates and right off into the sunset. But in my experience, especially working with federal employees, that's not how it plays out for a lot of you. So in this video, I want to walk you through how retirement taxes actually work when you have a pension and why the usual Roth conversion story does not always fit. My name's Tom. I'm a fee-only financial planner and I work mostly with federal employees on retirement and tax planning. All right, so let's start with why this Roth conversion advice exists in the first place. Most of the examples you see online are built for someone in the private sector with no pension. They work until around age 60, then they stop, they wait on Social Security until age 70, and for almost a decade, their taxable income might be very low. For that person, those can be amazing years to move money from pre-tax accounts into Roth. They're filling up the lower brackets with conversions instead of wages, and they're shrinking their future required minimum distributions. For that person, the advice makes total sense. But a lot of federal retirees are not living that story. So here's what I see all the time. You leave federal service and your first pension starts. If you retire before 62 with enough service, the first supplement may start too. And then you still have your TSP and maybe some IRAs on top of that. And then Social Security starts. And then later, required minimum distributions kick in from whatever is left in your pre-tax accounts. So even before Social Security shows up, your pension might already fill a big part of your tax bracket. If your spouse has a pension as well, that fills it up even more. So in my experience, those low income years that everyone talks about are not actually that low for a lot of federal couples. So let me give you a simple example. Let's say John retires at age 60. His first pension is about $60,000 a year. He qualifies for the FERS supplement, which is around $25,000. His wife has a pension from her job of about $45,000. So before either of them turns on their Social Security, they're already at roughly $130,000 of gross income. That's just the pensions plus the supplement. Now imagine John watching a generic video that says retire, let your income drop, and do big Roth conversions in your low bracket years. But is $130,000 really a low income year for that couple? In my opinion, not really. They might still be in a similar bracket to when they were working. If they start stacking big conversions on top, they can push themselves into higher tax brackets and may set themselves up for higher Medicare premiums later down the road. This is where the generic Roth conversion advice starts to break down. So does that mean Roth conversions are bad? No, not necessarily. It just means the goal is different when you have a pension. If you have significant guaranteed income sources, the goal is usually not pay almost no tax in your 60s. Instead, the goal might look more like this. Avoiding even higher taxes later when both Social Security checks and RMDs are stacked on top of the pension, protecting the surviving spouse who might end up filing as single with less income but higher brackets, and this is called the widow tax, by the way, reducing required minimum distributions so you're not forced to take more than you actually need, creating flexibility so you can choose where your income comes from in any given year, and sometimes leaving some tax-free money to your kids and your family. So the question shifts from should I convert or not to how much can I convert in a way that actually helps my plan? And that's a much better question to ask. So when I look at Roth conversions for federal employees, I'm really looking at 5 things. First, how much of your tax bracket is already filled by your pension? And if it applies, the FERS supplement. For some clients, that pension alone covers most of their lifestyle, which means any withdrawals or conversions are stacked on top of a steady base already. Second, will your spouse also receive a pension? This is really important for dual federal couples. 2 pensions can feel great from an income standpoint, but they can also eat up a lot of your tax bracket space, especially once both Social Security checks are turned on. Third, how large is your TSP and any other pre-tax money? A $200,000 TSP is a very different problem compared to someone that has $1.5 million in combined pre-tax accounts. Bigger balances can turn into very large RMDs if you never move any of that money on purpose. Fourth, will RMDs become a problem later? Sometimes we run the numbers and see that in your 70s, your pension plus Social Security plus RMDs push you into higher brackets than you're in right now. In that case, even normal conversions now can still be pretty helpful. Fifth, what happens if one spouse passes away? Most people do not like talking about this, but it's really important and it matters. The surviving spouse could lose part of a pension, they can lose one Social Security check, and still be taxed as a single filer. That often means higher tax on less income. So sometimes doing conversions while both spouses are alive is really about caring for the surviving spouse. Now, this is called the widow tax, and I just did an entire video on it. So if you want to check that out after this video, I put a link in the description so you can check out that video later. So how do you put this together? Instead of starting with your accounts, start with your retirement paycheck. Here's how I like to think about it. Step one, what income is guaranteed every year? So that's your first pension, any first supplement, and your Social Security checks once they start. Step two, how much of your tax bracket does that guaranteed income already use? Step three, how much room is left in the bracket you're comfortable living in? Step four, do Roth conversions fit inside that remaining space in a way that helps, or are you forcing something you don't really need? When you think about it in that order, Roth conversions become step four and not step one. And I found that lines up much better with how federal retirement actually works. So the biggest mistake I see is not people doing Roth conversions or skipping them. It's assuming everybody should do them the same way. Retirement is not one size fits all, and neither are taxes. If your retirement includes a large pension, a large TSP, and maybe a spouse with a pension too, your tax plan is probably going to look very different from what you hear in most generic videos. So I'd encourage you to not start with the Roth conversion conversation. Start with your retirement paycheck. Get clear on what's coming in, see how much of your tax bracket fills up, and then decide whether conversions actually move you forward to the future you want, especially around taxes and protecting your spouse. So if you want help seeing your own numbers laid out this way, this is exactly what I do in the Federal Retirement Blueprint. It's a free call where we map out your income sources, your taxes, and the key decisions in front of you so you can see if a deeper plan makes sense. You can find the link below in the description if that would be helpful. I would just encourage you to run your own numbers before you follow any generic Roth conversion advice online. So thanks for being here, everyone. I appreciate you watching. Have a great week. I'll catch you in the next one.